Oh, you thought I was playing guitar? I was actually playing a video game! That's right, I'm here with Sam Brown of Whitest Kids You Know. We're gonna talk about Rocksmith and sports games, all that and more on a totally groovy punk rock episode of Neighborhood Game Club. Stage dive! Do you think that was sick?
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I'm Sam Brown from Whitest Kids You Know, and this is my gaming system in its natural state.
You got a very nice collection, sort of tidy.
This is usually how I have it with, like, I'll have my system, and then I'll have the games I play on, like, the one, you know, I play, like, 2 games, and I'll have, like, one on top of the system that isn't currently in the system.
Your custom Xbox 360?
See, I had the nice wood panel plate, but I don't know if it's plugged in right now, but the tray is kind of broken. Ooh, listen to that purr.
We're gonna have a live red ring of death.
So, yeah. So sometimes I have to yank the actual tray out by hand. That sounds atrocious.
But you do have the nice limited edition Destiny PS4.
Yeah, thanks Nate Brown, my brother, who loves Destiny so much. He was like, when the limited edition came out, he was like, I got to get this for you. So we could play together. And that's like how I hang out. My brother lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And that's like our quality time is going on raids.
You have Rocksmith for Xbox One?
Yeah. It's the marriage of 2 of my favorite hobbies, playing video games and playing guitar. It actually, like, I rave about it. I feel like I'm like
You're the
perfect
only
person for it. Yeah, I'm the only person for it. It's great when a video game's made just for you.
Have you gotten better at playing guitar because of Rocksmith?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I used to, like, I came from, like my, how I learned how to play guitar was when I was a kid, I figured out what tabs were, and so I would go online and download guitar tabs and learn how to play all the songs and kind of just like, you know, but back then it was like Nirvana songs, so it was like just playing 3 chords, and that's how I learned, and I've never been really that good, but once this came out, it kind of like, there's only so much you can push yourself doing that. There's only so much you can like just sit around and like, you're like, all right, I learned this. It sounds okay. All right. But like Rocksmith, it kind of gave me something to do. It like gives me those challenges and those, you know, there will be songs that'll be harder than what I'm used to playing, and it'll give me that song in a simple way and kind of slowly teach me how to play it. And yeah, and I've learned to play some songs that are definitely like a level up for me, and yeah, I feel like I've become a better guitarist playing it, and have a blast. It's like one of the most relaxing things I can do. My roommate moved in with a pretty cool guy who has a really great VHS collection and original Nintendo collection.
Tons of Nintendo games.
All these I grew up on playing, like got Dodgeball, that's a classic, Metroid, Ninja Gaiden 2,
yeah,
those
Friday
are
the 13th,
super hard. Friday the 13th.
Rygar, there's a lot.
Friday the 13th is a horrible game.
Punch Out, yeah, it's a huge
Karate Kid, that was also kind of a horrible game, but the Punch played the crap out of it. Yeah, Punch Out. Mike Tyson's. Did you hear about that? There's an Easter egg that someone just discovered. There's like a Bald Bull and the Japanese guy, I forget what his name was, but when they charge, there's like a perfect moment to hit them in the stomach, and someone just figured out that you can actually see an audience member duck when it's that perfect moment. Goonies 2, which is like really funny. This second Goonies story, like I don't know what the exact, someone was like, oh, let's do a sequel to the Goonies video game. That wasn't very popular, but I remember this being somewhat popular, and it dealt with them finding a mermaid.
Oh, wow.
You can see there's a mermaid in a globe there.
Do you have any cool random Whitest Kids memorabilia around?
Back in college, we made a pilot. We shot it on film and made a half-hour pilot. We were a bigger group back then, and we made these cases for it. Let's see, Hitler Rap is actually on the TV show in a version of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a longer version. And Slapping. There's a different version of Slapping that's on the TV show. But the funny thing about this is, so when we made this, we didn't know what to do with it. And one of our ideas was we took this, duct taped it to a 40, walked into the offices of Vice, which at the time it was like this very new and cool free magazine that they would put places, and just walked into a meeting. Zach did this. He walked into a meeting, put it down, and went, "Watch this," and walked out. And they actually put us in the magazine as cool stuff. They hadn't watched the video, but they just were it was the picture of the video taped to the 40. It's we don't know what this is, but we love how it got here. Season 4.
Season 4, oh wow.
This is literally dusting.
How many sketches are in a typical season for a sketch show? It's 150?
It was something like that.
That's crazy.
Here's the list of these.
It's tons.
12 bearded pilots. I don't even remember 12 bearded pilots. A is 4, I remember.
Kid Beer, I really like that sketch.
I think this was the season where 4 of the 5 members had sketches that started out with us masturbating.
Great. Well, that was Sam's game collection, Whitest Kids collection. We'll talk about vid games, Destiny, Xbox Live, and masturbating, right?
Yeah, masturbating, yeah.
Welcome to the podcast portion of Neighborhood Game Club. I'm here with Sam Brown from the Whitest Kids You Know. Welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for
We've
having
had
me.
No specific request for you to be on, but, people will be...
You didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah, people will take what they can.
Thank
Sam
you.
Brown.
You just negged me.
Well, yes.
You started off your pod.
Yeah, that makes you...
I want to be more of a guest now.
Yeah,
see?
see?
No one likes me?
Yeah. All right. Let's get
They probably didn't know you could get me.
There you go, yeah. Whitest Kids is huge on YouTube.
Yeah, we're big on YouTube. Yeah.
But before we get into that, tell me about your early game history. What are some of the your early video games that you played?
I mean, I for me, it all started where it started with I think everyone else my age with Super Mario Brothers.
For Nintendo,
the first one for Nintendo. It's when I first got a Nintendo. That's the game that came with it, and I still vividly remember that Christmas having it first set up and just being in awe of the whole thing. And it to this day holds up. If you haven't played it a long time, go back and play the original Super Mario Brothers. It's a great game. And then loved Nintendo. Was big into going to the video store and renting games. What were some of the original Nintendo games I loved? I loved Duck Hunt was great. Loved Super Dodgeball, Ninja Turtles. I wanted to love it so much, but only twice in my life have I beaten the water bomb level.
That's so that game was before my time, but that game always comes up when people talk about hardest video games, hardest things. Apparently,
and it wasn't even the game was super hard. It was that one level.
What's the gimmick of that level? What was it?
It's basically it's like an underwater level, but the thing it's timed because there's all these bombs that you have to go around and you have to defuse.
Does this happen in the real Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or is this some game developers fantasy?
I think it's a game develop. I don't remember any episode where the ninja. I mean, I love Ninja Turtles, but I don't remember it being oh, it's like this. But the most frustrating thing, so and
that's okay.
That's my dog party. The thing is that you're swimming around, and it's one of these things where it's there's electric seaweed. Seaweed that electrocutes you, that's above you and below you, and so the margin for error is very small, and it's timed. So if you don't do it fast enough, you're gonna die. There's just too much stuff that could kill you, and it was like pretty unbeatable. Beat it a couple times, and the frustrating thing is, the next level was the level where you got to drive the Ninja Turtles van around, which is like all I wanted to do when I got that game, which I just wanted to. It's like eventually they came out with the arcade game, which was like a better game, but. Yeah, it didn't have the van, and so that's what that game was good for, and it was pretty like gratifying once I finally did it, like, and got to play around this van. But I loved Double Dragon. Played Double Dragon a lot. Then got into Sega when that came out.
Was that the original like Master Drive or Master System?
My uncle had Master System, which is cool. They actually had a 3D video game where you would like a couple where they had like these 3D glasses you had to like plug into the Master System.
Heather had talked about that. And I didn't even know that it existed, but like it was like Missile Command type.
Missile Command, yeah, where it's like missiles are flying at you and you gotta shoot them with the zapper. It was like really cool. And really ahead of its time, and actually I think has like 3D, like modern day 3D technology. It's like tainted me on, because I'm like, well, this has been around forever. This has been around for like, everyone's like, Avatar's amazing, and it's like, well, we've been, it's simple technology. It's not really that new, I hate 3D.
So after Nintendo, did you go towards Genesis or Super Nintendo? Genesis. See, again, I said this before, but like as a kid, I didn't know Genesis existed because all of my friends had Super Nintendos. And then when I was like 9, so this is like 5 years of being a Super Nintendo. I was like 9 years old. I went over to a friend's house and they had a Genesis, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
For me, and I mean, like, I think I was in like 3rd grade when Genesis came out, and I got it for my birthday. I think I was psyched because I was like the first person I knew to have a Genesis, and I was like, I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog and thinking it was like a feat of technology that Sonic the Hedgehog could run upside down in a loop. Like, you weren't going to see Mario go upside down in a loop. And then, eventually I'm sure we did, but like I was like just in awe of that. And I had Genesis, and then also when Sega CD came out, I got Sega CD, which was horrible. And that, I remember, that was the first time I ever heard a video game like really talk. Like there was this one like R-type video game that like kind of side scroller spaceship game that had an intro to it where it just had dialogue, and I was like, oh my god, we can stop reading now. Finally.
Were there any Sega CD games you did like? Because like I have a friend who has a Sega CD, and like the only good games for it are extremely rare, but like I don't know of any. There's a Sonic CD, right?
Sonic CD. There was one game I really liked. I think I would have to go back and like look at a list of Sega CD games. I always wanted to play Sewer Shark, but I remember I didn't have Sewer Shark. And then there was this game called like Night Stalker or something like that.
There was a like Night Trap.
Where
it's like you're peeking through video surveillance cameras trying to protect these like sorority girls from getting killed.
Yeah, that seems so weird, right?
I still want to play that, but that was like that and Mortal Kombat were the two games that had like moral panics.
Like it seems like you're doing something wrong by like surveillancing them,
but and really you're protecting them.
But like, you happen to protect. Like it's like if someone got their life, like if a peeping Tom called the cops, and then everyone's like, "Way to go! What were you doing in that tree?"
I was just protecting them.
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't know. I really want to play Night Trap. I'm sure you can emulate it, but that sounds cool as hell.
I had Bram Stoker's Dracula for that, but I gotta say, the Nintendo version, the original Nintendo, that's weird that there was like a time when like there's video games being made for 3 different generations.
Yeah, and like each one would be completely different.
Yeah. But there was a Bram Stoker's Dracula for Genesis. There was Bram Stoker's Dracula for Sega CD. And they had I believe they had an original Nintendo version of Bram Stoker's Dracula. But it's the original Nintendo. Maybe I'm just getting this confused with the Sega version. But the original Nintendo, if you check it out, there's YouTube clips of this. It has a great soundtrack. And it's one of the games that actually, in the menu, features the soundtrack, where you can actually go through the different tracks it has. But it sounds like hardcore, like thrash metal done 8-bit. And it's great. Like, you should totally check out the YouTube video of Bram Stoker's Dracula NES soundtrack.
Beavis and Butthead for both Super Nintendo and Genesis also had like a GWAR soundtrack, but it was like 16-bit. Yeah. But then this ties into what I want to talk about next. But like early thrash metal soundtracks, one of the best soundtracks of all time is Doom.
Yeah.
And like the funny thing with Doom is like he just straight up ripped off like Metallica songs and like tweaked them a bit, but like every song in the original Doom soundtrack is like the guy took a legit metal song and just changed it a little bit and like put it in Doom.
Yeah, I bet like it was a lot easier to do it back then. Well, I mean, Metallica was a lot less litigious back then.
Yeah, pre-Napster.
Pre-Napster, yeah. But B, I mean, like just the fact that it was like 8-bit was like, oh, this is a totally different song. The other song has lyrics and guitars.
Yeah. This
is just beeps and boops.
So you got into PC gaming as like in the 90s.
Oh,
right?
yeah. When we got a PC, I still remember, I think like it was like me and my neighbor were like the first people on our block to like have PCs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got the first computer I got. I remember we had Codename Iceman, which was an old Sierra game.
Okay.
Point and click adventure.
Yeah, those are great.
I loved point and click adventures. Another big, I remember really early on they had this old Spider-Man, I think it was Spider-Man and Captain America versus Doctor Doom fighting game that I used to play. That was kind of horrible. It was like a level-based fighting game. It was like, here you have to fight Rhino in the first level. And it wasn't like Street Fighter layout.
Yeah,
It was very like straightforward. And like, I vaguely remember that game, but I used to play it all the time. It's weird that like I feel like no one talks about that anymore. But yeah, it was like an old I think the first time I ever saw a comic book video game. Myst was a big one for me.
Yeah,
loved Myst. Actually, I played a game recently that I loved because it reminded The Witness.
Yeah.
It's great.
Like as a kid, we had computers, and I remember getting my own computer like in the 90s with like AOL basically. But I never had good graphics cards, so I couldn't play like my computer is always like the cheapest one, so I couldn't play any good computer games. But like I could run those old like adventure games like Day of the Tentacle.
Day of the Tentacle. They're redoing it.
Yeah, I love the Indiana Jones adventure games. Did you play those? Like the Fate of Atlantis.
Fate of Atlantis was great. Yeah, that was a really great point and click.
Yeah, all the like LucasArts.
Yeah, and then there was all the what was that? Police Quest? Was it or SWAT Quest or something like that?
By Sierra.
Yeah,
I think I know like the box
Sierra
art.
did like I think a Police Quest series, which was really fun. And then they also did the Leisure Suit Larry series, which I was like, oh, these games are naughty. I've got to figure out a way to get my hands on them. I eventually played it and was like, this is it. But still, they're funny. They're like funny, like stupid, raunchy humor. It's like how like watching an episode of Married with Children can be fun. King's Quest, that's really fun. I also like was really big into there was this LucasArts flight simulator called Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe that I had a blast playing. That was like an old World War II flight simulator that like featured like old German jets and stuff like the first jets, and you could fly those old jets, or you could actually fly like a B-52 bomber and switch around between all the different gun positions and fly old missions. It was so funny back then too, because their way to combat piracy was they would have these decoder keys.
Oh, on like the rotating.
Yeah, you'd have like a disc. Yeah, with like a little like a what do you call it? Like a chad in the middle, like a thing like holding it together, and then and it would tell you like a date when you started the game. And you had to spin the disc to that date, and then it would reveal a code word.
Jesus.
And, yeah, it was also cool back then too, because I mean, before like a lot of these games I started playing, it was before we had Windows.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd be playing it. We'd be like, I'd have to learn DOS to play video games, and so yeah, that was like part of playing computer games as a kid, was knowing DOS commands.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think like I came on earliest was just Windows 95, so I had it easy. Like it was just there.
I remember getting Windows 3.1, which was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Myst was so cool to me. I was so proud of beating Myst. There was actually 2 games I was really proud of beating. I was really proud of beating Myst, and this is kind of stupid. I remember one day having my Genesis, and there was this game that was kind of a Double Dragon, kind of like what's that? Streets of
Rage.
Rage.
Streets of Rage, yeah.
Yeah, kind of game, like a beat 'em up game, where you played like a DJ on roller skates.
I don't know that one. I know there's like Comic Zone for Genesis, where he looks like the guy looks like he would be a DJ. He's got a ponytail and cool glasses.
No, this is pre-Comic Zone.
DJ on roller skates.
Up. Is this weird that I'm
No.
DJ Boy, and yeah.
He's doing research on DJ Boy.
Yeah. I just like I beat it like in a sitting, and I just like remember like after beating it, feeling accomplished, and like feeling like.
I had that same moment.
Life is good.
I had that same moment when I love beat 'em ups. That's like my favorite genre. My dad rented the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Super Nintendo game. That is a beat 'em up. I remember beating it and being so stoked, and like the ending is them like all in like a convertible driving down like the Malibu coastline, whatever. I remember beating the game, seeing the credits, and I called my dad. I was like, "Dad, I just beat a video game." But like, yeah, I was blown away that I accomplished this. Because before that, I had never seen like credits in a video game, and it was like, oh, there is an ending.
It was weird. There was that feeling of accomplishment. I feel like now you don't get it as much, because like if you just if you put enough time into a game, you're definitely gonna beat it. Because like with save points and all this stuff. But like back then, it was like for the most part, you had to beat games in one sitting. Mm-hmm. You had to be like. Unless it was like Zelda or something like that, or like Punch-Out, you had to be like, all right, today we're going to beat this game. And I used to do that with my friends. We would have like on sleepovers, we'd rent games and be like, all right, let's try and beat it tonight. I remember the worst was with the original Nintendo is I distinctly remember putting hours into a game with a friend of mine, and we're playing through the game, and it's time to go to bed, and we pause the game. We're on like the last level, and we wake up in the morning, and the screen is just blinking, and it's just like the game just like glitched out in the middle of the night. Yeah, we started crying.
Well, I'd have the same thing. I remember getting pissed off as like I would come home from school, my mom would turn off the game. Like when I had paused it, right? And it's like, oh, you don't realize how much you've thrown off my little life.
Mom, you go to your room, think about what you did.
Like, yeah, that would, again, before save states and everything. But a lot of it was like video games, especially before the internet, is like you had to discover everything on your own. How do we beat this? You had to figure it out. Whereas now, if you're stuck, I immediately, like, I don't have as much time to play video games. So if I want to beat something, I just look up how to beat the boss so I can get it over with. But as a kid, you had free time to, like, figure it out. And, like, it was just trial and error. And then you got it.
I was so proud that I beat The Witness without looking up any of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like, it's, like, a really great puzzle game. And I was, like, really happy. There were points where I was like, I should just look up what I got to do. And then I was like, no.
And it's funny because, like, the developer of that, Jonathan Blow, he specifically said on Twitter, like, yeah, you can look it up, but, like, try to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
But But I think he said that because he spent like 5 years making this game, so I'm sure he didn't want people to like just like shortcut it.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, if you can't beat a puzzle, take a day off and then come back to it. Like you will feel better. And like, yeah, that makes sense.
No, and that's like the game is like you'll find like puzzles and you'll be like, oh, this puzzle is like, sit with it and it'll look like kind of achievable and you're like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and then you'll be like, you know what, like I'm gonna like leave it, and then you'll solve some other puzzles that are sort of similar, and then you'll realize something about what's going on with that puzzle and go back to it. So yeah, it was really fun. It was like a really fun way of just communicating with the person.
Yeah,
like you really felt like the developer of the game was communicating with the audience, like of just concepts, and and it was almost inspiring. The only bummer about it though is that you beat it and then it kind of does like this like ending sequence and it's like, do you want to start over? And there's stuff I hadn't unlocked.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go unlock that stuff, but then I had to start over. I hate when games when like games that are kind of open world. Yeah. Like I think Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 2 I think did that, where like once you beat it was like, yeah, you beat it, why would you want to play more? And it's like, no, you did a great job of making all this like all these little things that are so much fun to do. Why don't you let me go finish those things?
Fallout 3 I think has an ending where you beat it and it's like, all right, bye. It's like, what? No.
Yeah,
I mean, you can load a previous save, but like like nowadays games give you like, hey, this is like after this there's no going back. It basically tells you like make an extra save, otherwise like you're screwed. But yeah, I hate games where you can't like go back.
Still, they should think about that. if it's like a world like that, they should realize like, oh, like the character would live on. Why not just let him live there? I missed a game that was like really like eye-opening for me. Flashback for Sega Genesis.
That game had really cool graphics.
Had amazing graphics.
Yeah. It was like pixel animation.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is that there's a part in the game, and it's very like point A to point B with this part, but for the time, this was amazing. Was like you have to like get a job in the middle of the game. Yeah. You're like on Mars. It's very like Total Recall-ish, but like there's these machines and they give out jobs, and so you have the choice between like 4 ways, and you have to make a certain amount of money for a ticket to like Venus, and and so you're doing these jobs, and I remember like thinking like, I'm working in a video game. And that is essentially what eventually, like that logic is what became, Grand Theft Auto. Yeah. This like kind of like, like your story events are over for now until you get this much money. So you need to get jobs here and there, or like do random stuff to get through it. And it's I love that thought process. Yeah.
Moving on to like first person shooters, did you say you played Return to Castle Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
Was that on Xbox or PC? PC.
That was like the first person shooter I ever played, was Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Did you play that multiplayer or single player?
I mean, just we had like 14.4 modems. I think I didn't try multiplayer till Doom. Mm-hmm. But like definitely back then it was like such a crazy idea to be. I remember like with my brother and his friend, we like direct dialed my brother's friend's modem and we're like typing to each other, and remember that being like, what? Like he's typing and we're seeing that here?
Yeah.
Which seems like the most archaic thing right now. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.
I remember like when I was a kid, I went to my friend's house and his dad was like a like some kind of computer like engineer or whatever, and like he worked from home on the computer, but he also like had his gaming PC on the side, and he had this giant like server browser where it was like all manual IPs that he would type in. I remember just seeing that, and we played like Team Fortress 1 and like Unreal Tournament on it. It was like I felt like I thought his dad was a hacker. He was like, how are we connecting to all these other people? But like Yeah, it was such a trip. Like, so I didn't really get into playing online games until I had Xbox and like Xbox Live, and Return to Castle Wolfenstein, the multiplayer is like what I played, like probably like 2 years straight before Halo 2 came out.
Really?
Yeah, like the multiplayer of that is very similar to Team Fortress 2, where it's like it's class based. So you have a medic, you have like a soldier with the RPG, you have the sniper. So like it's very similar to Team Fortress. But it was cool because it was World War II. So you're storming the beaches of like Normandy and stuff. And like,
I love it.
It was like I loved that game.
That's honestly, and not to sound like a weirdo, but like I am such a big fan of like that like realistic approach to first person shooters, that like realistic weaponry, and even like the antiquated weaponry, and like the kind of like games like the was that one 1942 or whatever, the not the plane one, but the online multiplayer one, Battlefield 1942.
Yeah, there's
right?
Battlefield. There's also Dave Defeat, which is like the like Half-Life type Dave Defeat one.
Even what's the hostage based one? Counter-Strike.
Yeah, Counter-Strike. Yeah.
You know, like those games, rather than like your Halos or your
Quakes, and we have these rocket
launchers. This is like some gun with heat-seeking bullets, and that's like that. Like, can I jump a little further with first-person shooters here? Like, I remember like when we started doing Whitest Kids, when we like got our show, one of the first things we did was my brother was always into like online gaming and had like an Xbox, and I always thought it was really cool, the idea that like you could in Halo, like when you were near someone on the other team, you could hear them through your headset. And that kind of stuff. I just thought that was so cool. And then like when we got the show was when Xbox 360 first came out, and I bought an Xbox 360, and like showed it to the other guys. They all bought Xbox 360s. We like all like within like a month all bought Xbox 360s, pretty much to play Call of Duty 3.
Yeah.
The World War II one.
Yeah, there's Call of Duty 2 and 3, which was World War II based.
Yeah. I think 3 was the one that we played the most. That was the one with the dam.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we loved that game. we played that game so much. And Trevor's and Zach too, they're both really good at first person shooters. And Trevor to this day is like, I'll get into like different games, but he'll like pretty much just like get Call of Duty so he can like play online against people and just like kick ass like on like some like PvP stuff, you know. But like back and we would find all the glitches, and like that one where at the Eater Dam where you'd be like underneath, like
that's
right,
what I've heard about. Yeah. You can get under the level and snipe people or something.
We would just sit there and like listen to people get pissed off. And got so into it. It was amazing. I loved it, and I'm like upset that I haven't played a Call of Duty game in a while because they're all like basically Titanfall now.
Well, yeah, that's the weird thing is like with Call of Duty is like I remember like Call of Duty 2 was cool. But then Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was like, this is it. They like revolutionized multiplayer games. It was fast. It was fun.
The level design was great.
Yeah, and now everything is like super futuristic, which is like, it's getting back in towards like that Quake Halo territory where it's just like it's like turbo like lasers and stuff, and it's just like you're. I like the idea that you're thinking about things in like realistic terms, and maybe that's like the problem is that people are like, we don't want to think about gun violence in realistic terms, but I mean, I like that. You kind of have to use like I like that the guns aren't so advanced and so good at killing the enemy, that you have to be sharper and more creative with what you do to get them, and for that, I mean, for that reason and other reasons, I like around
Modern Warfare 2, I gave up on the Call of Duty franchise, and I started playing Battlefield, and I played Battlefield 3 and 4 a lot, and I had a blast with those games. But even that franchise, that's kind of like, now it's this, I played the Star Wars one, but haven't really, and I didn't play Hardline. Kind of like, I feel like that franchise is even in trouble a little bit.
Well, yeah, with Hardline, they kind of were like, they made it way more fast-paced and more close quarters so they can compete with Call of Duty.
But but like what's good about Battlefield is that it's so big that you can be playing and people can be there and be like some of my favorite times playing Hardline was when I was playing Battlefield, was when I was playing in like a big open map. People were like having it out in like the warehouses and stuff like that, and I saw a player who was a sniper way across the map, and was just sitting there and trying to snipe him from across the map, and could tell that he could see me and he was trying to snipe me, like I'm in the woods, like 200 yards away from some warehouse that he's on the roof of, and I'm trying to like account for bullet drop and things like that, and when you have that, and it feels like a duel almost, but like you're playing across this map of people, like helicopters falling crashing, and like so I love that stuff.
Where do you want to see, like, the one thing I like about like Whitest Kids is like there's a few like Call of Duty sketches, and like but there's also a lot of history sketches. Where do you want to see Call of Duty go next? There's rumors they might do World War I, either with Battlefield or Call of Duty.
World War I might be insane. I mean, like trench warfare, like that was just like you're throwing bodies at bullets.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I feel like if they do that, you could just like you'd have to have instant respawn of just soldiers charging down, and you respawn behind and keep going. But it's like. Yeah,
it's mostly a courtroom drama. It's mostly like you didn't charge. We were all charging. You're gonna get hung.
Because World War II games, it was like huge on like the early like Xbox generation, and then people got tired of that, made it contemporary with Modern Warfare, and now it's going future. One thing I think they're also going future is they don't want to put ISIS as the bad guys in fear of these developers will get killed. Because like in early 2000s, it's like, oh, let's go kill Al-Qaeda terrorists. And now that these bad guys are even scarier, they're like, let's go fight other people instead.
Yeah, people are like, it's so like, it's not funny, but like people are so afraid of ISIS.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like, I mean, I was talking to a comedian friend of mine the other day, and she was talking about pitching a sketch that was like involved like ISIS terrorists, and everyone was like, whoa. And it's like, oh, that's like, sometimes you say like, oh, this executive was scared of doing something.
Yeah.
When ISIS is involved, they're actually scared.
Yeah.
So it's kind of something interesting.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's like, so people aren't touching Middle East anymore. I'd be in favor of like, let's do another World War II game.
World War II, yeah.
Let's go back and try that again.
Or, what, there hasn't been, I mean, it's like a very dark subject matter, but there hasn't been a great Vietnam game.
Yeah, there's like a few, like
stuff touched on it, but like...
Wasn't Black Ops have to do with Vietnam or something?
There was a Vietnam level, but it touched on it.
Yeah, because like, early, there was Vietnam games, there was like, I forget what the hell they're called. But yeah, they were done in a very just like gross, like let's kill things and blow stuff up. But it'd be interesting to do like a very like sensitive, like legit Vietnam story.
Yeah,
that'd be gnarly.
Do a Full Metal Jacket video.
Yeah. Really, like do sincere.
I love how role playing games have bled into everything. This idea that like. That we all shouldn't be playing the same character. You should be able to customize your character, and that's not just a cosmetic customization. That's how the character plays. It's how, I think in life, we all concentrate on different things, and that should be represented in video games. Like that, like, oh, I want my character to be strong and be good at like close quarter combat, like that. That should be an option, and I feel like Fallout Fallout was like a big step forward in that.
Yeah,
that's
and
like
Oblivion was very open, like...
Skyrim was very like people like that, and that's like kind of the thing is like they're just trying to tackle that in all games, and you start to see it in sports games too now, which is like really fun. I kind of think sports games are now better than they've ever been.
So, like, let's touch into that since there is no other time we'll talk about sports on the show, most likely. I used to play sports games when I was a kid, just, like, on, like, NBA Jam and stuff. But, yeah, I would have, like, NBA Hang Time and, like, NFL Blitz, like, the arcadey sports games.
Yeah.
But then on Xbox, I would get Madden just to play with people online because it was new and fun. But, like, outside of, like, that, I haven't really played sports games in a long, long time.
I definitely was playing sports games before I was into sports.
Yeah.
Like, I played sports as, like, a little kid and, like, a little bit in high school, but I never was, like, really a fan of sports, but I was still playing, like, Joe Montana Sports Talk Football and the early versions of Madden and NHL, like, NHL 93 to 96 were, like, huge. Like, it's the great, like, hang out and play it with your friends video game. I love that it's, like, represented in the movie Swingers.
Yeah, it
wasn't...
wasn't...
There's, like, you could tell they were fans.
And also, like, Mallrats has, like, it opens with, like, them playing NHL on Genesis.
Yeah, but that was weird, though, because the version of, like, I remember that, like, I think they wanted it to be NHL 95 or something like that, and then like Sega was like, no, use our NHL game, and so it's this like almost like next generation NHL game where the graphics were better than the stuff that was like out then, and so I remember like seeing that in theaters and like being like, oh, that video game looks cool. And I've never played that one before.
But now in 2015 it looks like shit. 2016.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Because their
shorthand marketing ploy backfired. Now, if you watch that, it's like this game looks like crap. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, and I'm not nostalgic about it at all. If they did this is why Swingers is a better movie than Mallrats, amongst all other things.
So what sports games do you play? What are the good ones?
I'm really into NBA 2K, the 2K series right now. Let me say that this is why NBA 2K is a revolutionary gaming franchise.
Yeah.
They were at the forefront of, and I think other games were kind of doing this, but like they're kind of mastering that like RPG integration with this of doing, and this is like kind of a new thing with sports games within like the past, say, 6 years, is it used to be that if you're playing a sports game, you would be playing the whole team.
Yeah.
If you had the ball, you'd be playing that character. And, you know, in the last decade, they've come up with this thought process of like, what if you played one character? What if you made a character and you just played that character?
Oh, wow.
And the great thing about that is when you play a sport, when you're playing basketball or soccer or something like that, you play a position.
Yeah.
It's a team game, and you have to consider where other people are on the field to like find these opportunities. And so because of this, sports games have something that's like the strategy of a sports game is very different than the strategy of how you would play the real game. But now because of this, you can play like as a point guard in basketball and really have to think about what a point guard's job is on a basketball team. And then the fun side effect from this is, I don't think NBA was 2K was the first one to do that part of it, but this part they were so good at was they started to integrate cutscenes, and like you start your character's career off and you get a manager and you get drafted to a team, and all of a sudden you're on a team with James Harden, who's the guy with the beard. And for those of you who don't know sports, but like the guy with the beard, and then he's like, "Hey man, what's up? Like, thanks for coming on the team." And you either get to be like, "Yeah, James Harden," And like whenever I play a sports game, I put a couple hours into the player creator. I love player creators.
Do you make yourself or do you make like whatever?
I make myself.
Okay,
it's all about putting myself in a game. And I spend so much time in seeing how close I can get my character in the game to look like myself. I mean, the character I have in NBA 2K doesn't totally look, but we'll take a look at him. We'll compare. But so I because it's all about putting myself in those shoes of NBA player in the NBA, to the point where I've actually made shoes that I have in the game so that my character can be wearing my shoes. But yeah, and then like so you get to be like, yeah, James Harden, like I'm glad to be here on the team, or you can be like, whatever, James Harden, you do your thing, I'll do mine. And like have a bad, and that affects how the play will go in the game, and it's amazing. And then this past year they did a really funny thing, which was I think a little bit of a misstep, but they got Spike Lee
that's what I heard,
to direct the single player of the game, which is the funniest thing, because they just like went with this decision that your character's gonna have the nickname Frequency Vibration. Freak for short.
Yeah.
And B, your character, no matter who you are, is gonna be you start off in high school, which is great. You have a twin sister. You grew up in Harlem, and your family's black.
Okay.
So you have a black twin sister, you have black mom, black dad. No one ever addresses that you're like some 6 foot.
Right, so you have a black twin sister, but you can still make whatever you want as your baby.
Yeah. You have a black family. It's so funny.
So it's like Steve Martin's The Jerk.
Yeah, it's like Steve Martin's The Jerk. No one ever acknowledges that you're a white guy, and then it's like this. And here's where they lose you. It's the great thing is that they start you off and you play 3 games in high school, then 4 games in college, and then you play like 8 games in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's your first season basically, and that takes like however long. But the thing is that they have these really long cutscenes that you have no way of interacting with, and you're just watching these computer people act, which is like, I mean, we've come a long way, but we haven't come that far that it's like super entertaining. And it's not like Last of Us or like what's the one that just came out? Uncharted.
Yeah. Where
it's like animated beautifully, and they like, it's still like that video
janky,
game kind of janky, and sometimes people just like have too much faith in that being able to carry a story, and the scenes are too long, and it's a story about like you and your best friend who like is like a huge supporter of you, but he's like gets in a lot of trouble, then he dies. So it's really heavy at the end.
There's a lot of people watching is upset you spoiled their NBA game.
NBA. It's really fun, but it's really funny that
is there a lot
But it's so funny because then you start into your next season, and that's like really the game I'm used to playing, where you're playing through like the full season, not just 8 games. Because then if you're playing through the full season, you can like really concentrate on your stats and like making the all-star team. That's the fun part for me. Is like I really want Sam Brown to A, to play for the Boston Celtics, and B, to win MVP of the league. But if you're just playing 8 games, you're not going to win MVP of the league, no matter if you win all 8 or anything, And so, but once it starts in and you're playing like a full season, the announcers will be like, "Oh, there's Freak. He actually, his friend passed away in a car accident."
What the? I didn't hear any about this.
It's amazing.
Wow, it's really deep.
So
What
funny.
is this? 2K16?
And it's so funny. There's like this whole thing where he's like, "Oh, I really miss him," and then you have the guy that plays your brother that's there in like a white suit, and he's like, "I miss you too, man." Like he's like a ghost talking to you. I forget if that's exactly it, but it's something like that. I think 2K16.
Wow.
Whatever one just came out this year.
That's pretty heavy. Is there a lot of like Spike Lee spoken word monologues into the camera?
It's a little bit like that. It is. It's very like Spike Lee, like heavy handed. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's so weird. There's a part where you meet Pharrell though.
Wow. Dang. That's cool. Yeah. Other than that. Sports games. Yeah, I'll play stuff if it's arcadey, but
I'm gonna pitch something.
Yeah.
I have a great idea for a video game, and I just want to play it. So if you're a fan of this and want to become a video game developer and want to steal this idea, I'm gonna say go for it. You should do this. There should be a sort of sandboxy. Maybe it's not sandbox, but it would be cool if it was sandbox. If it was like Grand Theft Auto, but do Friday Night Lights. Do a game where it is you're on a football team. You can have characters from the Friday Night Lights series in the game, but it's all about playing through your high school career. So that's like probably like what's 16 times 4. So that's a lot of football games.
Yeah.
A lot of practices. And then, but you also have other stuff going on in your life that
drama. So it's like
high school drama, and different stuff that affects your character and have it be like very role playing, where you can like affect your charisma, and that affects like how people listen to you on the football field, and you're playing one position, and you're like the quarterback of the team, and it's as much about the sport as it is the story that you're going through. That's my ideal video game.
I think as like things like
having it be like high school would be amazing too.
I think as like VR and like just video games mediums as it expands, we will get these weirdly like specific fantasies like that, these weirdly specific scenarios like that.
Do you believe in VR? Do you believe it'll take off?
I have a feeling it might be like kind of a gimmick in the sense like Nintendo Wii was, where it's like, oh, it's a fun thing to show to your friends. I don't know if it'll be something I'm going to sit for 10 hours and play. Like, I can play Fallout for 10 hours straight. VR, I'll probably play for, like, an hour at a time.
That always, like, bugs me is when people are like, oh, this is so crazy. And it's basically that of, like, the thing just to show someone. Yeah. And then it's, like, collecting dust. Because I've gone through that so many times. I've fallen for that. And I'm afraid that, VR might be something. Like, some people have so much faith in it. But it's, like... We've gotten really good at storytelling. Yeah. We've gotten, like, really good at visual storytelling through the medium of film and through stuff like editing. Once we introduce VR, we're kind of saying, like, well, editing wasn't good enough to kind of dictate emotion. Yeah. So we're just going to do, like, one shot, and it's just going to be, you can look around, because we need to be there in the room. And it's like, no, have you ever seen Citizen Kane? Because it feels like you're in the room. Like it feels like, and they do that through this medium that's been refined over 100 years, and and I just don't I don't have faith that that's gonna like take over how people say it's gonna take over.
Yeah, I'm buying like the PlayStation VR, fully expecting like this is gonna be a fun toy.
Yeah.
But like I'm not like that's why I'm not buying the $1,200 like Vive or anything yet. It's like I'll get the smaller thing that'll be as like a fun toy, but
you know what I think will be killer though is if you get like the like Gran Turismo force feedback steering wheel combined with the VR, and then like also like I mean that is a thing with driving games is like there is like when you are driving, having the ability to look around is an advantage, and that's something that's like they haven't really perfected with driving games. You know, you can like hit a button and be looking directly back, but like if you have that ability, it'll change. And I had on PlayStation 3, I had the Gran Turismo force feedback wheel and was like thought that was blast. It was so fun. And it didn't just like wasn't like just a thing where it's like the rumble thing where it's like, oh, this feels like it like really affects, like you can feel how much tension you're getting, and it affects how you drive. So you're like, you're driving, and it makes cars feel different too. You're like, oh, like nice cars are really nice. They handle really well, and that's really fun. I remember once me and James Pumphrey, we did I forget how long the race was. I think it was like a 2-hour race where we would take turns, like we just like nonstop, like taking turns doing 10 laps, and it was crazy. It's like definitely a different kind of thought process to approach something like that. That's like that, and that's like what the sport of racing is. Mm-hmm. Is, like Le Mans, like where you're like driving for like 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah, the thing that's going to be weird with, like, storytelling in VR is the idea is you're giving... Yeah, you're right. Like, with camera direction, you're allowing the player to choose where to look. And I feel like when I play video games, I usually... Unless I'm, like, super hooked by a story, I like kind of, like, breaking games and, like, goofing around. So I feel like if you're ever put in a position where you have to look at something, I'm going to want to look around and see, like, what weird shit you can spot. Yeah. And so there's going to be so many people playing this, like, there's something important going around, and they're just going to be looking around.
I think you'd miss it because they don't have the attention span.
I do want to talk about story about video games, but back to Call of Duty, I want to talk a little bit specifically about Whitest kids in relation to Call of Duty. Well, your famous video game sketch is the Call of Duty sketch, or De Bears, or whatever you want to call it. The premise for the sketch, if people haven't seen it, is it's like Sam and Trevor setting up like their strategy. They're like about to go in and attack.
On the count of 3, you take out that sniper. De Bears and I'll go after the machine gunners. Got that?
Mom!
De Bears!
Mom, can I have a sandwich?
De Bears, shut up.
I don't know. Peanut butter and jelly.
And then there's a third soldier who's just standing up, talking to his mom, and then the reveal is like, oh, they're playing online, and it goes with that further. That's one thing I loved about playing games on Xbox Live. It was like, just the variety of people on talking through the mics. Some who don't even know their mic is on, and just like playing with little kids. So you say like De Bears was inspired by like real stuff that would happen?
There's a real guy named De Bears, a real kid. It was like back when we like first got our Xboxes. This was like when we were on Fuse, and the show came out. We got into playing the Uno game.
Yeah.
And I remember Timmy put up a picture of like his like screen cap from the Uno game as his like profile on Facebook, or maybe even MySpace back then, but and it had his handle right on it.
Yeah.
And so then he got like a bunch of people like adding him on Xbox, and then we started to get some of that runoff because people would be like, oh, Timmy's also friends with this guy, that must be like Sam, Trevor, and Derek. They kind of like would play with us, and like through play with Timmy and figure it out. And De Bears was this kid that would play with us, and I'm gonna use a fake handle. Like we would hear him, and it would be like Trevor would be playing, and it would be like he'd be playing with this kid, and it'd be just like him and this kid on, and he would be all of a sudden like, "Dinosaur Man, where are you, Dinosaur Man? Dinosaur Man!" And like, and you could hear him talking to his mom. It was like such a little kid that you could hear. And so that was the inspiration for that sketch was De Bears, and it was De Bears and then a number, and so we just made it De Bears in the sketch.
Like, the one thing that sucks about playing games online, or I guess it's good, but is nowadays when people play online, everyone's just in their party chat.
Yeah.
Everyone's just locked, so you never have, like, those random encounters anymore. And, like, granted, now that I'm older, I don't want to hear, like, 12-year-olds calling each other faggots, so it's like...
Really? Now that you're older, you used to love it.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be the 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like... Yeah, when I first started playing Halo 2, it was so obnoxious. But these people couldn't turn me off. I mean, they could mute. But, but they were forced to be in here, and so you just riff and improv and just harass people. One British comedian described like playing on Xbox Live as described Xbox Live as the longest running Aristocrats joke. That's just an endless loop of the most vile, offensive, and it just never ends. Being told by 12-year-olds.
Totally.
But like now that's not there anymore. But yeah, we used to play Halo 2 and like just all these games together. And be one kid one day on Halo 2, his gamer tag was Little Man 5. And like same thing. It was like, hey guys, wait for me. I want to get in the Warthog. And we're like, whoa, hey dude. And yeah, he was a 5-year-old kid playing Halo. And so we would every time he was on, we'd invite him just because it was so funny to having a 5-year-old kid. Wait for me, Kari. He would call the Warthog Kari. Like, hold on, Kari, let's go, Kari. And like it was a little kid. And like we would just always play with this kid named Little Man 5, and we thought it was so funny that we had this little kid playing with us. And like, yeah, now it's just we're in a party chat and I don't talk to anybody but my friends, but like that was something that, like, I really miss.
It's funny though, like I play Destiny now, and there's just like the opposite thing going on where we'll, do these like 6 people raids, and I'm new to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As far as like raid mechanic and stuff like that. And so I'll play with a bunch of people, and I'm like, my light level's just high enough, and like the person, like it'll be like someone that we bring in who's like done a certain raid before, a certain nightfall or something, and they'll be like, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to shoot him. There's going to be orbs that appear. You got to jump around on the platform in order, counterclockwise. We'll call it out. Make sure you call it out. And I'll be like, what was it? What was that? And everyone's like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'll have so much social anxiety about playing video games. It's insane.
With these, like, other,
I'll feel
like,
like
turbo nerds,
such an idiot. And then like sometimes it's like it's a 12-year-old that is like telling me what to do and is like, what the fuck is your problem? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. It's just like me. That's what like online video games are now. For me, it's just apology, but it's great. I mean, like, I wish more people would try it. Like, I think that anxiety shuts a lot of people off to like online gaming, and it's like, oh, you don't realize like how social of a thing this is, and like how engaging for like this is like a new experience that like I think some people are just old manning it and being
right, because like you say, like that's your brother lives on the other side of the country, and that's how you stay connected is through Destiny, right?
Totally. It's great. It's like, we can spend like hours together, and sometimes we have to like plan it out and be like, hey, tonight you're gonna be home, let's play. And it's great. It's like,
yeah, like, I mean, like, funny enough, I met some of my best friends, like, through Halo 2, like, or just through Xbox Live randomly.
That's really sad.
No, that's very cool. Like, yeah, one of my best friends I met through, by chance, I hit Quick Match on Castle Wolfenstein, and, like, I don't even know how, they're all in a clan, and I was like, I want to be in your clan, whatever. And then, like, 10, 12 years later, I'm like, one of the best friends with this guy. We met through Wolfenstein, and we have other friends met through Halo 2, and now, like, we are in a Skype call or on a video or not a video chat.
I'm surprised the guy that you met in Wolfenstein didn't already have like a ton of best friends.
But yeah, like, we met all our friends. And we met on Xbox Live, and now we just hang out on like Skype all day and play video games and chat, and it's like. And and we've since met up all,
Yeah.
But like, we just stay connected, and we ignore girls, and we just like like play video games all day, and it's great, and I love it. And like, I don't know. I mean, I think nowadays with the internet, we have high-speed internet, and like everyone has access to their phones. People are used to the idea of internet and video games being extremely social. But yeah, like when Xbox Live was first starting out, it was just like new territory. But
yeah, I play Clash of Clans, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a clan with a bunch of guys from Channel 101. It's pretty
that's
fun.
cool.
And I'm, like, the worst on it. But, yeah, I like that. It's for every once in a while they'll do, like, meetups and stuff. Yeah, it's great, the direction of video games, and I'm really glad I play them. And people are like, I can't play them. It's such a time suck, and it's like, oh, you're gonna be sorry when you're old and you can't move, and I'm sitting there living it up on video games, and it's concepts too
I don't know.
intense for you to wrap around your old man brain.
Because like the other thing too is like you have a really strong background in film, and I'm at the point now where I spend more time playing video games than watching movies. Just because like you can watch a movie, but like when you're playing a video game, it's like you're constantly getting that like pleasure, it's just constant like enjoyment. But there's now video games that are on the same level as movies. Like Last of Us is great. I love Red Dead Redemption, and like there's more things raising the bar.
Red Redemption.
You don't love that game?
I loved Vice City.
Yeah.
And that did a lot for me that Rockstar games after it kind of like ruined a lot of Rockstar games because I thought it was almost a perfect size.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of Rockstar games after that were like, you know where we're gonna grow? We're just gonna make the game bigger.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be way bigger. That's how we're gonna grow. And I guess like the online of the new Grand Theft Auto is like definitely an improvement, and they definitely brought it somewhere new. But for a while, it was just like we're just it's gonna take you like a half hour to get from one side of the map to the other side of the map. That's how this game's better than the last game. And I thought that Vice City did a really good job. Like, was really fun in how it like told its story and like did this like rags to riches thing really well. And but Red Dead Redemption, I liked ish. Wasn't like blown away by it. Thought there was definitely like I thought like the most it did was there was some sequences that were like really cinematic.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's like it's okay.
Man, I was like I loved like I think. I mean, Vice City is like that game's more fun, and like I know every inch of that map. Whereas Red Dead Redemption, it's like outside the towns. I don't know. I couldn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
But like I know, I love that game a lot. The soundtrack is great. I love the ending of the game, like the real ending of the game. I just think that's so cool. There might be a sequel. There's like rumors that they're going to announce a sequel.
It was a really popular game.
Yeah.
I just hate popular stuff.
Oh,
yeah. No. It was actually a really good, a really fun game because of the story. Was I really liked the story to Far Cry 3.
Oh, really?
I thought that was really funny. It was like, I thought the best thing that it did, and you don't see this enough in video games, is it took like, you were like a bro in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
You were just like a very just a mediocre person.
Yeah, exactly.
And and then the whole game is about gaining these powers and stuff like that, and going on this like sort of journey. And so like, I love that idea. Like I love stuff where you can put yourself in the shoes of the character and experience it through them. And I think there's not enough games that are like that, where it's like, this is just a guy and he's put in this situation, and now all of a sudden he's got to learn how to use a gun, and now all of a sudden he's got these special powers and he's got to deal with that. And and not that I'm like some bro in Jamaica, but it just, that sort of like into that game was super fun to me. And I think they kind of went back on that in the most recent one.
I haven't played Far Cry 4 yet. There was that and then Far Cry Primal, where you're a caveman.
Yeah, so you can't relate to the caveman at all.
There should just be more video games in general where it's a normal person in a normal city and just random shit happens.
And they have to deal with it, and you're the main character because you're the main character.
Yeah, instead of just being like, I'm an ex-military man. Oh, you messed with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I just played through Quantum Break, which is an Xbox One game by the guys who did like Max Payne and Alan Wake, and like, it's lame. Like, it's okay, but like it has that thing where it's like, oh, you get wrapped up in this like secret like like this like military secret whatever bullshit, and you're shooting guns and stuff, and you find like a text document that was like about your character. Like they have like this agency has a dossier about your character, and it's like, oh, he's experienced in combat training because he took a class, and it's like they just shoehorn like the reason why you're good at guns, and it's like that's so lame.
Yeah,
like,
it's lame.
Yeah.
You should be bad at fighting.
Yeah,
Have it be a role playing game where you get better.
Yeah,
You acquire skills throughout your journey, but where you start out, you suck. You're
when you start
sucky,
bumbling
shitty
around,
person who probably plays video games, and that kind of stuff is ideal for me. Like something where if I can create my player to look exactly like me and basically be me, and then go from there and go experience an adventure. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And is that too much? I don't know why we're obsessed with like everyone being a Marine.
I think that was like what dominated the 360 generation with like Gears of War and stuff. But like there definitely was that fatigue, and I think now that's the thing now with games is these huge giant open worlds, and then you explore them. So like I think we're starting to see more of that.
Yeah.
We'll see what gets announced at E3. But there's still stuff. There's still cool stuff on the horizon.
What is cool? What is not out that you're excited about? I know this is your
everything.
show,
I mean, like everything that I'm looking forward to is like you're already a preset character. But there's one game I'm excited for called Scalebound, which like you are already like a set created character, but it's like Scalebound is like you're a dude and you have a dragon and you just go around this giant world fighting other dudes with dragons. But it's like very action paced.
Cool.
And it's for Xbox One. That's coming out. I don't know. I have so much random stuff like pre-ordered on Amazon. There's Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4, yeah.
But that's like story driven, and that's like great.
Love it. Love Uncharted. Uncharted 2, I thought was.
Uncharted 2 is great.
Peak for me. I mean, someone made a good point of like Uncharted 3 is really good because it's the least fantasy based one. And I get that because like in Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2, there's a point where you're like,
there's like
a
monster.
Yeah. But like the stories of those are more entertaining than the recent Indiana Jones movie. It's like, don't see that Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Just play Uncharted. It'll make you more happy. But Uncharted 2 had like really great action sequences all throughout. It's the whole thing where you're in a building that's collapsing.
Yeah.
And you're getting shot at by a helicopter outside the building, and you have to shoot people inside the building.
But would you love it more if you were Sam Brown doing that?
Oh, totally. I totally would.
There we go. I don't know. Yeah. Well, like maybe. Hey, so many people are gonna watch this.
Yeah.
So many people watch this.
This
is gonna change the entire of the industry.
Yeah. I hope I inspire people to become game designers.
Yeah.
To go out there and make the kind of video games I want to play,
or
just make a video game where it is like
literally Sam Brown.
Literally make it me, so it's only fun for me.
Yeah, make the Sam Brown adventures. But like with me, I try to play everything. I don't really play sports games, but anything else I'll play.
See, wait, let's talk about this for a second. Why not?
No, I did buy WWE 2K16. I got the new wrestling one. That was cool.
That's close.
Yeah.
You're getting close to sports.
Entertainment. No, I used to play them as a kid. I think part of it is like with sports games, if I had friends who had them, then I would get and play with it because I'll do that. But if I don't have friends, then it's like I don't wouldn't really want to play it by myself. If I had friends who had it, then I'll go play it. But like a lot of my friends play like League of Legends and that shit, and I don't like that's like to all the other end of the spectrum. But like my friends and I, we buy a bunch of N64 sports games. We'll play that, just goofy stuff. If it's something I can play with that friends have, I'll play anything. But I'm not like objectively, I ain't playing a sports game. It's just like there's so many other games. It's like low on my priority.
The other like great thing about like sports games right now is they've gotten to the point where like you know like NBA 2K for example, where like you really have to like start to think about the strategy of basketball, of the sport of basketball, and like take into account stuff like pick and rolls and like running plays and stuff like that, and like what it means to like keep your offense spread, and you can like sit there and you play it for hours, and then turn on a basketball game, and watch like the Golden State Warriors and be like, all right, I see what they're doing there, and watch it like it's like someone playing a video game, you know, and like kind of like pick up on like, you know, like ways that they attack the hoop and like different strategy that the team takes on into like how you play. Obviously there are still some differences, and like definitely like when I play people online, they definitely do stuff that you would never do in an NBA game. But yeah, it's super fun to have that, to be able to like play a video game, or football too, like where you're playing a video game and then you watch the real guys do it, and you notice some of the tactics that they use, and you're able to like pull that and implement it in what you're doing. Funny anecdote about sports game. I was years ago, I was really into The Show.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that like in case you don't know, that like Xbox doesn't have a good baseball game. The Show is the only like the standard.
Was it because they bought like the MLB license, or like is there MLB games made for Xbox or no?
I think there is a EA one that's just no good. Like that's the thing, is like EA has like I think a game for, or they might not even make it anymore. They at one point had a game for every sport.
Yeah.
But like they're so lazy that some of the sports stopped being the standard. Like some of their sports franchises stopped being the standard, and you get like 2K Sports took over with basketball. Like EA does a basketball game, EA Live.
Oh, that's right.
No good.
I don't hear anyone talk about that.
Yeah, 2K is the standard. The only sport that there's like kind of like a 2-game market is soccer, where there's FIFA that EA makes, and then what is, I feel like, maybe not as popular, but still a very popular, very competent game is the Konami's Winning 11 series. Yeah, and soccer is, if you're looking to like, I want to dabble in a sports game, and I don't know sports that well. Yeah. FIFA or Winning 11 or Pro Evo or whatever it's called. I think that's like soccer's such a basic game.
Well, yeah, like, it's like Pong.
Yeah, it's like Pong. Yeah. That like that's a really good game to get into. Really fun game to play with friends and like really kind of get down the stretch. But yeah, EA like they just like they only have football now. I feel football and FIFA. Yeah. But like yeah. So anyway, so I'm playing The Show, which is the standard baseball game, and I was playing as a player. Was playing as a pitcher and pitching a perfect game into 8 innings. I had 6 outs to go before I pitched a perfect game. Never done that before. Kind of a feat in that game, like pitching a perfect game. It really like puts that mentality of what a pitcher is going through when they're doing that into perspective. And I was like excited about it. And my girlfriend at the time was walking past me as I was like doing something, and I was like, oh, watch out. Yeah. And all of a sudden the screen went blank, and the disc popped out of the PlayStation. She looks down, and she stepped on I had the DVD remote on the ground. She stepped on the DVD remote. And I just had to be like, I don't hate you. I don't hate you. And like remind myself that like I was like so close to this thing that I was like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. And I had to be like, it's fine. It's just a game. It's just I don't hate you. I need to be alone. I don't hate you. But yeah.
Well, there you go. It's funny. I just said I'll buy sports games if friends had them. That guy I met off Wolfenstein, one of my best friends. All our friends on Skype, they play The Show, and I just don't buy it because I don't like baseball. So there you go.
It's good. You should try it.
I should. I like talking to you. I should. Yeah.
Try it. I would say try it. play the 1-player mode, like the
Yeah.
my player mode, and play like as start off with playing like a hitter and get down like the hitting physics.
I'll get
and
after
mechanics.
this I'll get it.
And then I would say, like, once you got the hitting mechanics down, like, I think more interesting than hitting is pitching, because pitching is a game of chess.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, like, another interesting thing about it is, like, and that's, like, fucking thing with these games is, like, you'll, like, be like, I'm not really into baseball right now, and, like, because I go through waves of, like, following sports, and then I'll, like, get the show, and I'll be playing as a pitcher, and I'll realize, like, oh, there is this, like, strategy to, like, where you're pitching, what pitches you're pitching, and that kind of thing. And, like, there would be in a Street Fighter game or something like that. There's that kind of strategy to, like, how you play. And then it makes it so then all of a sudden you're turning on the actual game, and you're like, so this guy who's now the pitcher who has the most wins, he's, like, throwing a lot of, like, low sinking balls, and that's a huge break on that, and you, like, start to look at real life how you were this video game, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, do I like baseball? This is weird. But yeah.
Well, there you go. I will check out MLB The Show. Maybe. Don't know yet. There's no promises. Yeah, people watching it, do you play sports games? Is Sam Brown the only
Am I the only person? No, I mean,
No, other people,
like,
yeah.
Like Street Fighter is like people treat that like a sport.
Yeah.
Like people treat that video game like a sport.
Yeah.
It goes the other way, where like we can be treating sports video games like video games and have fun playing them, and they're just like, because it's something that's existed for 100 years, there's already so much thought that's been put into the strategies that are presented. I actually like and never throwing away.
Wow.
This
Madden 09 strategy guide.
Madden 09 strategy guide, because part of the reason I did this was not only to learn video games better, but just to learn the sport of football better, and to learn like what are some football tactics.
Damn, that's just. Oh yeah, he straight up has like the plays, and like this is really funny.
Yeah.
And it's like how there's like all these things written about the players. Wow. Sports fans, you got to pick this up. Barnes & Nobles.
Madden 09.
Yeah,
Barnes
it's a good read.
It's a good year.
All right, we'll check that out, and we'll go straight into emails. This email comes from Jacob. Hey, Frank and others, was wondering if you've ever played a game and started to get really into the story, then all of a sudden it drops a deuce and you hate it. So we kind of talked about story earlier. Are there any games that start out with strong stories and just kind of plummet and you like don't care anymore?
I don't know about like not caring. We mentioned Uncharted earlier. There's definitely like the end half of Uncharted.
Oh yeah, like with Uncharted 2, like I still follow it through, but yeah, once it gets into all like monsters and it's like, oh, I didn't know this kind of game. Okay, like, but I still like finished and enjoyed it. Yeah, it is like I would have been fine if you just kept shooting random bad guys, but no, like the last game I played, Quantum Break, is the Quantum Break is an interesting thing because they tried going multimedia with it.
Yeah.
So Quantum Break exists as the game, but there's also a TV show.
Yeah.
And playing through the game, after you beat an act, there's 5 acts. There's a TV episode after every like set of missions. But the TV show
Who's the main actor in Quantum Break?
I forget the main guys, but like Lance Reddick from The Wire is in it. Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, who's also in The Wire. He's in it. So there's like legit actors. Dominic Monaghan or whatever. Charlie from Lost. So there's good actors in it. But anytime it cuts to this like TV show, it's like low level sci-fi channel like B movie, and it's like I'm watching it just so I can enjoy this or like.
Do you watch the show the episodes on the game?
Yeah, it like streams it in the middle of the game, and like I'm watching it just so I can like get the experience. But like the TV show is so boring to me that it kind of like bogged the game down. You know
what franchise is awful with story? Just like it's just a chore.
What?
Assassin's Creed.
Oh
like,
yeah, I don't see.
Fuck that game. Like fuck that franchise.
With most games, I'll play and just not care about the story. So like stuff like Assassin's Creed, it's like I don't care about the story from the beginning. But like if it's good enough for me, if a game is good enough for me to be invested in the story, then I'll follow through and enjoy it.
It's the guy that played Pyro, or no? Ice,
from X-Men.
Iceman from X-Men.
Yeah, Sean Ashmore. But yeah, Quantum Break is all right. But yeah, I was just so tired of the TV show. And in the game, there's so many like emails. You have to like read emails and text messages and these giant walls of text.
I don't mind it when like an email's like a supporting the story.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like, or like you find recordings that are like bonus story, but like don't put your story there.
Yeah, I mean like
it's just boring.
It's I mean there's some supporting stuff, but there's some main stuff to get it, but it's just like there's too much of it. They need to cut it down. Again, I don't if I want to read a book, I'll read a book. This other question comes from Heath. This is I like this story. He has a question. Did you have any weird game rules imposed by parents? When I bought Tony Hawk's Underground 2 with my dad in Sears, the 60-year-old behind the counter told him that it was a fun game but had inappropriate lyrics. This was after I had already paid for the game, so my dad told me I could only play it with the volume turned off. I was afraid of getting it taken away, so I did, even though he probably didn't remember telling me that days later. It took about 5 years until I realized I was still muting the TV whenever I put Underground 2 in, and it felt really weird. Having the game
I wonder what
on.
songs were inappropriate.
That just blows my mind because it's like this music for Tony Hawk is so like important, and so this kid played Tony Hawk with the sound off. Like that's mind blowing. My parents always let me play whatever video games I wanted.
Yeah,
so, like,
same here.
So there you go, no rules.
Sometimes my mom would make me stop when I would get too mad.
Yeah, I would stay up late. I remember like, I had like a demo disc for Twisted Metal 3, I think it was, and I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. to play it, and then like I'm almost mad when she found me because I had like school the next day, second grade. It was all like so Tony Hawk soundtrack is like no effects and stuff, but like they're rated T. But yeah, I'm so sorry you had to play with the volume off. And then
the 6-year-old man sucks.
Yeah, James has a question. Did you ever have a game that you never got your hands on but were desperate for a certain time in your life? He talks about like when he was a kid, he wanted to get Shadow Warrior for PC, but never got it because it's like an M-rated game.
Leisure Suit Larry, we were talking about earlier. Sewer Shark, I wanted to play that, but never got my hands on it. It's once you become an adult, it's like if I want a game, I'm just gonna buy it.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. Yeah, like, but yeah, as a kid, like as a kid, I didn't have like money to buy all the video games, but if there's something I really wanted, I would get it eventually. The only thing that was always out of reach for me was like some PC games, because like I never had a good gaming computer, so there's a lot of stuff I couldn't play. And then I finally bought a good gaming computer like a few months ago. And with that good gaming computer, I can also emulate any game. So I can play any video game from any time except the future. I can play any game ever. So like I finally made it. But yeah,
can you play like PS4 on that?
No, you can't play PS4 on the PC. So I still have my PS4. They're just now starting to emulate. You can emulate Wii U games.
Oh, crazy!
Yeah,
that's cool.
They're starting to do PS3 and 360 emulation, but it's not as good. But like you can emulate PS2 games, GameCube games, which is crazy because it's like.
I remember when I first had a modded Xbox, it was like.
Oh yeah, right. But the problem is like once you have so many video games, and you can just download things, it all becomes meaningless.
Yeah.
So it's like I still like paying for games because
it's like how people hate music now.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can get all of it.
Yeah, I did download Perfume's new album, which is a Japanese pop trio. It's very good. Cosmic Explorer.
Meaningless.
No, it's very, very good.
Meaningless.
I'll put a link to the MP3s in the bottom below. Sam Brown, thank you so much for coming on. Any last words?
I never got to talk about one of my favorite games, which is if you've never played it or played it and been like, this is too hard, I highly encourage you to play the Super Mario All-Stars Mario Brothers Lost Levels.
Oh, the like
just
super
the
hard
original
ass.
Mario 2. It's an amazing game. They didn't release it in America
because it was too hard.
They thought it would be too hard, but it's a game that incorporates like timing, and it's like a finesse game, but it's also like got a very hard puzzle element, and it really like Super Mario Brothers 3 was really great, and part of the thing that made that great was this game in between that really bridged those two concepts of, because it looks like the original Mario Brothers, but it plays like Mario Brothers 3.
Very cool. And last question, do you guys still have hopes to do a Whitest Kids another movie?
Ooh, I don't know.
Civil War on Drugs is very, very
talking.
good.
Yeah, we're still friends. We still meet up and work on stuff, and there's definitely more Whitest Kids in the future.
That's good news. Yeah, not a lot of people watch Civil War on Drugs. Maybe people did, but not enough.
It used to be. I tried to look it up recently, and it used to be on YouTube as like a single. People would edit it together, but I guess it got taken down. I think, but you can still watch it in the 10 chunks. Yeah,
I'll link those 10 chunks. It's very good. All right, I'm gonna go play a sports game. Maybe.
Maybe.
Bye.